flight attendants on board serving you today. We know you're ready to get to new places. Open up the bins, put away your suitcases. Carry on items, go under the seat in front of you, so none of you have things by your feet. Before we leave, our advice is put away your electronic devices. Fasten your seatbelt, then put your trays up. Press the button to make the seat back raise up. Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the show podcast live. Today we're starting something new. This format allows us to get more episodes in because, you know, when we got to go shoot and drive there and edit and everything, it takes a lot more time. So anything goes, Alli. I mean, they could ask you questions. They could ask you questions on life, on, you know, I mean, are you ready for anything?
Sure. You know, I've never done this before, so.
Yeah, this is Alli's first time going live, so give it up for Alli. Today's guest on the show live, the first episode 13, is Alli Rose. Alli, say hi to everyone.
Hello, everybody. How are you all doing?
And tell everyone a little bit about yourself before we start the interview.
Born and raised in Hawaii. Just a local girl. I never wanted to be a flight attendant. I don't know, I have my hands in all kind of different pots. I do a lot of creative things, and I know being a flight attendant does let me do that. I went to UH, I went to Mililani High School. So basically a local girl.
Awesome. We could tell from the flower in your hair and everything, so that kind of gave it away.
I didn't want to put it in, but I figured, since, you know, I'm representing the airline, I better put a flower in my hair.
Now, Alli, let's start from the beginning. Growing up, what kind of child were you? Like your personality? I mean, I can imagine what kind of child you were because you're so vibrant and bubbly.
Oh, really? Well, I'm the oldest of three, so I was pretty responsible. I liked to do, I liked music. I liked dancing. It wasn't until college that I got into theater. Mm-hmm. So I can be pretty dramatic. And I guess I was like that when I was a kid. I was bossy. I was bossy as a kid. I didn't think that I was, but I was. I was really bossy. And I guess I'm bossy as an adult too, if you ask my family.
Oh, I see.
Just adventurous. I like to be out. I grew up with a lot of boys, so I liked sports, although I didn't play it.
Tomboy? So would you say you're more of a tomboy?
Yeah. Big time tomboy. Lived at Walls Waikiki for summers in high school. Mm-hmm.
So if you break a nail, it's nothing to you. You just you bite it off and that's it. You just spit it out, right?
Well, if I got my nails done, I'd be upset. But yes, no.
Yeah.
No, I'm not one of those oh my gosh, life's gonna end.
I know. Because that's how I am when I break a nail. You know what I mean? So you're like the complete opposite of me because I get all dramatic. Totally dramatic for these things. From what I remember, we're going to take it way back, okay? Because I remember you, and a lot of people don't know this, and this is why it's so cool interviewing Alli, is a lot of people, maybe Alli's trying to forget about her past, but
no.
If you live in Hawaii, you know there's a TV station called OC16. And in the beginning of OC16, there was a few shows that popped up in the early years of OC16, and Alli Rose was actually on one of the shows called
My TV Jams.
Our next segment is on Punahou Carnival, where there's a lot of history behind it.
Because I know that show lasted a good few years or so, but you were were you at the beginning when it first started?
I wasn't at the very beginning when it first started. So when it first started, it was just Jay Smooth. Okay. And then the producers wanted, I guess, a girl counterpart. And they found me dancing at World Cafe and asked me if I wanted to, audition.
Is World Cafe still around?
I don't think so. No. Is there clubs anymore anyway in Hawaii? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah.
I don't think so. Nobody goes dancing anymore. It's a different generation. But they found me dancing and they asked me to audition, and that's how it started. Yeah, I did not know anything about TV or interviewing or anything like that. So it just kind of happened.
I remember you guys going to different high schools and whatnot, but How would you describe the show? What was the show about, like in a nutshell?
So we wanted to play on MTV Jam. So we would play music.
Okay,
We would have, music videos from, top 40 artists and local artists. And then to segment into that, we would go into the community and kind of report, on what was happening around us. So it would be like a lot of carnivals, a lot of, charity events. And definitely we hit up the high schools because, high school is huge in Hawaii. Like you ask where you're from, that means what high school you went to, right?
And then you go down the list of, do you know so and so, right? It's like at least 2 or 3 people, right?
Exactly. And Hawaii didn't really have at that time they didn't really have like local people besides the news that would go into the community. So that was a way for like young people and a lot of people in Hawaii to like get on TV, So it was really fun. They always found us and it's my TV channel.
That's so cool. So you guys were kind of like you guys were covering all the happenings around town, right? Like what's going on, events and everything.
And events and anything to do with the community, anything that was fun, we tried to be there.
Yeah. Is it weird? Like I know, like when we talked before, you said you had some VHS videos of the old episodes. Is it like you probably haven't watched it for a while, but do you like watch it once in a while? How does it feel watching your younger self? Because this was like, how old were you at the time?
I think I was 18. I was right out of high school.
Yeah, so that
right now you're like,
you're like 25
40.
now, so yeah.
Oh yeah, sure thing.
But is it weird watching yourself back then, or?
The first thing that comes to mind was, oh my God, I was so skinny and I was so young. And I remember it just being a really good time. And it's not weird watching myself. It was just, it brings back really good memories. It was a fun time.
But do you look back at it, you're like, oh, I did this and I did that. Like, is there any things that you look back on?
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh God, girl, you need to learn how to put some makeup on. Or it was like, can you straighten your posture? Or can you please leave the pigeon at home? Little things that, you kind of like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But that's okay.
Yeah.
You're young,
Yeah, you're still learning, right? Is there anyone now that comes up to you or they're like, hey, I remember you from my TV Jams? Do you still get that or once in a while?
I still get it. It's not often. And it's definitely people around my age that I think the last
25.
time. Yeah, 25.
25,
Thanks.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think the last time was at Costco Kapolei.
Okay.
And somebody was like, hey, you are you? And I was like, And he's like, oh, Alli Rose. I was like, oh, hi. Like, thanks.
So people still remember you to this day.
That's awesome. That's really sweet. Because it was really only a year that I was on the show. About maybe a year and a half, but
really,
it wasn't super long. But I think it's because we were always out, and doing stuff that people kind of remember.
Now, back
it's
then,
really
because you guys were at the early stages of the channel, I think, or as far as having shows. Do you remember any other shows at that time that people might remember around 96?
97.
97, okay.
Yeah, around there. I know Tiny TV was coming up.
Yeah.
That's really the only one I can really think of.
You guys remember any shows from the late 90s on OC16? If you do, just post a comment and let us know. We're trying to remember because our brain's kind of foggy here and there.
No. 25, 25, getting old.
25, never mind. What am I talking about? Yeah, of course. Hello. We were like one of the first then, huh?
Yeah, we were kind of one of the first, definitely pioneering, yeah.
Yeah. See,
now
people forget about
wonderful
that.
Shows.
Yeah. That's so awesome to say that you were one of the first, like the pioneers of, a big channel. I mean, there's so much things that came out after that. Like, what did you do after My TV Jams?
After My TV Jams, I changed my, I was going to major in fashion and business before I did My TV Jams. And after doing My TV TV jams. I had such a good experience that I thought I wanted to go into journalism. So I was kind of going that route in UH, and then that's when Baywatch was in Hawaii. So
we're gonna get into that. I didn't forget about that.
I was one of the extras on Baywatch, and
Yeah.
if you watch the old shows, I'm in the big. I can pick
She's in
myself
the
out in the
intro.
beginning and the intro.
She's in the intro. That's what you guys don't know. So see, Alli, I was.
It's really fast. It's like super fast.
I remember that. So I was a big fan of Baywatch Hawaii, huge fan, because in the late '90s I was lifeguarding. So lifeguarding was kind of like my dream job, and I got into that. So Baywatch Hawaii was like oh my God, like it used to get me all hyped up, like I want to go save someone. But if you guys look back into, you can probably find it on YouTube, but the intro of Baywatch Hawaii, you'll see a little glimpse of Alli just kind of glancing back, right? They're doing something, right? Yeah. How did that happen? How did you land that gig, and what's some of your memories on the show?
Okay, so Baywatch, I got Baywatch actually from Jason Momoa.
Really?
So yeah, Jason Momoa was, so I did Miss Hawaii USA 1999 and 2000. I was running. I was, what do you call it? I was
runner up. You were
1999. I was second runner up.
Okay.
2000 I didn't even place, but Jason was part of that. He was one of the ushers, I guess you could say, and we just got to talk. This is like when he was young, and so I think he saw me around and he said, "Hey, you should try out for Baywatch. You know, they always need extras." And I mean, that was an amazing gig because it was in college. You get paid for it. They feed you, and you get a tan on the beach.
Yeah,
it was awesome. I just laid out on the beach for maybe like a whole. It was a year, definitely a year. So 1999, 2000, around there. And
he was already on the show.
He was already on the show.
Okay.
He was on the show from the beginning, the Baywatch Hawaii.
He was just doing a side gig, doing ushering or not whatnot.
Yeah, he was just doing a side. No, because I think the ushering was before. Because Baywatch Hawaii was like 2000, I think.
99 to 2000, yeah.
Was it 99 2000? Yeah,
it's
so I
kind of
guess he was
scary
bigger
that I
than
know
the
the years. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to admit it, but yeah.
You really liked it. Did you get on it? Were you on it?
No, I wasn't. So back in 98, 99, when I was younger, I used to be mistaken for Jason Momoa. So being that
I can see that.
Yeah, being that
for real.
Yeah, being that I was lifeguarding too, so it was funny, and I milked it totally because I was lifeguarding, and there would be like girls coming up to me in '99. Now this was at the water park, so it wasn't like I was on the beach, but they actually thought I was him. So I take pictures and whatnot, and I had the red shorts on. Totally milked it until age got me, and I was like, oh, great. And then he got a beard now, so I can't do it. But
yeah, he looks vastly different.
I remember my auntie telling me, oh, you should, being that everyone is saying, oh, you resemble him, you should be his stunt double, or you should do something. And I always wanted to get on, but I don't know, for some reason I didn't. But I still have all the shows on. Oh, this is embarrassing. I have all the shows on VHS still.
Really?
Yeah, so I used to record Baywatch Hawaii and the old Baywatch, the ones in the mainland. And that's actually how I got into lifeguarding, is I used to watch Baywatch and I wanted to rescue people. And like, I love the action of it, even though everyone said, no, you like the girls, come on. But I watched it for like
it's a perk. It's definitely a perk.
Yeah, it's a perk, but for me, I like the training scenes, where they're exercising and then they're in slow motion and the music is playing. Like, I don't know, I dug all that.
So when you're in trainer mode, does that go through your head?
Sometimes, yeah, I guess so, yeah. Yeah,
it's awesome.
But I can't move that slow. Everything just jiggles when I move slow, so I rather move fast so that they don't see everything. But so he kind of helped you to get on the intro.
He gave me the number to the casting director, and then from there they would call me like the night, the day before, and say, hey, are you free tomorrow? And I'd be, yes, of course I'm free.
Was he back then kind of like the same as he is now? I mean, after Aquaman and everything? How was he back then, his younger
No,
self?
I watch him on TV, and he's the same happy-go-lucky, just say what he wants to say
Yeah, yeah.
guy. I mean, he was already like that, back then, and it's really heartwarming to see that he's the same person,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he hasn't really changed. It really doesn't look like he's changed at all, and I'm so happy for him.
Doesn't need the bodyguards or anything. Like, he'll just hang out at the beach and right with family and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Growing up, we know that besides modeling, your mom was a flight attendant. How long was she a flight attendant for?
She was a flight attendant.
Is she retired or is she still?
She retired. So
Okay.
she was a long time Aloha Airlines flight attendant, and she was there to the very end. We actually got to fly together at the last day. But
cool.
yeah, I grew up with Aloha Airlines and my mom being a flight attendant, and I honestly never wanted to be her ever.
Yeah, you kind of resisted it, right? You said before.
I totally resisted it. Like, no, I don't want to be on an airplane all the time and
flying to places, beautiful places,
and,
right? I don't want to.
Well, at the time, Aloha only really did Inter Island and maybe West Coast. So I didn't really have the travel bug because we didn't really travel growing up because my mom was a single mom. And I think that's kind of why I gave it a chance too, because I realized that my mom was a single mom taking care of 3 kids on one paycheck, as a flight attendant. And I thought, oh, that can't be too bad, right?
Even though you resisted it, I'm sure you have some memories growing up. What was some of your fondest memories of, whether your mom would fly you guys out or like any memories of growing up?
We didn't really do a lot of flying. We didn't really use that benefits. I remember once my sisters and I, my mom took us to Maui for the day. And that was the first time we went to Maui Ocean Center. And that was really nice. I just remember my mom always looking put together. Like, she looked so beautiful in her uniform. Always hair up, and I don't think she wore a flower in her hair, but she always looked very like what you think a flight attendant should look like.
Like what you see on TV, right? Like
yes,
so
exactly. Like
proper,
a Pan Am,
right?
those Pan Am flight attendants. She had very good posture, and I have to tell myself to do that because I'm not very proper.
You just fix yourself right there. Just thinking about it, you fix yourself.
Yeah, I know. It's like,
literally.
Okay, you gotta take your shoulders back.
Then you decided to become a flight attendant. Now, when you decided to become a flight attendant, what's the process of getting into, as far as the interview process? Because I've had many friends that have said, like, man, it's so hard to get on or just get an interview. And I just had a friend that actually got hired by Hawaiian Airlines as a flight attendant. And she's going to go through the training, but she said, like, 1,000 something or 700 something applicants.
So I heard that it's like 7,000 applicants.
Okay.
And and so they look at your job experience. You got to have something in hospitality or airline experience. That they definitely want to see. Other than that, it's like when you get the interview, I think they're looking to see if you're genuine.
Like any job.
Like any job, that if you're professional, they're very strict about being professional. Like, you can't have any tattoos, no visible tattoos. Don't lie about it because they'll find out. And if they find out, they'll fire you. Yeah, the interview process is pretty brutal. I think it's like a group, then a panel, then another group, and then a one-on-one. I think it's like 4.
Wow,
3 or 4. I went through 3.
Okay.
In both the airlines that I've been with.
Yeah.
So, it's that. And then once you get in, it's, I think it's either 5 or 6 weeks of training with no pay.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So you got to be kind of dedicated and want this. And then after the training on both airlines, you had like this big test to review like what you learned, and you had to kind of know it pretty much verbatim, especially the emergency stuff, because when you're in an emergency, it just has to come quick. You can't really think about it.
What was the hardest thing for you in the beginning, learning or just getting down or memorizing? Is there anything that you had a challenge with?
Well, for me, for the first time, no, I- I'm one of those nerds, so
Okay, you
I'm
totally
good at
studied and
studying.
prepped. Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
studied and prepped, so it
I
was
would have
that.
failed. Yeah.
To me, the second time around, it was trying to forget the other airline to learn a new airline. So
Okay.
that was difficult. So the people that I think have come from different airlines and they go to a new airline, that I feel like that's the hardest part of it, is to
Mm.
erase what you've learned, because every airline is different. Like I remember, it wasn't really emergency things, but I got on the line on my new carrier, and you have to say, your closing goodbye speech as you leave, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of it, you say, "Thank you for flying, da 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 da." And I
Mhm.
said my other airline, and I was
Oh
like,
no.
like, oh my gosh, and it was
Awkward.
it was a little awkward, but it was funny because, I mean, but that's,
You covered it
you've
up.
been doing it already.
You came back
Yeah.
right. You had to come back, right?
Yeah, I was like, oops, new airline.
That's why you said you have to be able to think on the fly.
Yes.
No pun intended, but you have to think on the fly and you have to be
Yeah.
ready, right? Yeah, yeah.
Right. I mean,
Uh,
there's a myriad of situations that happen on an airplane, and it couldn't be just an emergency. It could be just day-to-day flying, you have all these different people and all these different personalities that you have to, interact with. So you have to really be able to be kind of a chameleon, I guess,
yeah, yeah.
to do it.
We don't see what goes on behind the scenes or whatever, but what's like some things about a flight that you're like, you know what? Maybe us regular passengers might not know. Is there anything like we might not know that goes on?
Hmm. Well, the biggest thing right now is that flight attendants and pilots don't get paid until those engines turn on. And
Oh
we
no.
don't finish getting paid when the engines turn off. So everyone thinks that once we're at the airport, we're getting paid. No,
Yeah.
we're not.
So you
So
have to
if we're
actually take off.
delayed,
Yeah.
yeah, well, but when the airplane runs on its own power, so once the engines turn on and we start taxiing, that's when we start getting paid. And so if we're delayed or if something goes wrong on the ground, that's love,
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just as upset that we're delayed as the passengers are. We're like,
Wow.
yes, no, we want to go too,
Yeah,
So
I did not know that. So do you?
yeah, a lot of
Because
people don't know.
I thought you guys got paid per flight or salary or like
No,
I didn't know that.
no. Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It is for love. So when you guys, the next time you guys are mad about your flight not taking off on time, just remember that there's someone like Alli that's not getting paid. And she put the flower in her hair, the
smile,
makeup,
and
right?
yes,
You gotta keep
exactly.
smiling. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do? You just like go home or you go to a hotel, basically, right? If it doesn't.
It depends. It depends
Okay.
on like where we're at. Also, the work rules are, say we get delayed, it was a San Francisco maybe, and the flight time is 5 hours, but
Mhm.
we're delayed maybe like 2 hours on the ground, we still can go. Because flight attendants can be on duty, I think it's up to 12 to 14 hours, depending
Okay.
on the flight time and depending on how many flight attendants are on that flight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it really depends. There's a lot of factors into being a flight, and sometimes even I don't even get how sometimes we get paid.
These interviews are to try to find out and just kind of have more of an insight into what you do or things that we don't know, because I'm sure, did you guys know that they don't get paid? I mean, I'm pretty sure you don't care because you're just trying to get on the plane, but at least we can, out of this interview, we can have a little more empathy for the pilots and for the flight attendants and everything that you guys do. What is your favorite thing about being a flight attendant? If there's one or two things that you...
I think the top thing that I love about being a flight attendant is the flexibility of my schedule. Once even on reserve, so when you first get on the line, you're reserve. So that's basically on call. You have a certain amount of days off, but the days that you're on call.
Yeah.
And you can move those days around. And then once you're on bid, like when I can bid for like the flights that I really want, and it's all seniority based. So the more senior you are, the better trips you get. You know, I like Japan trips, so that's what I try to strive for. But once you get to that seniority, you can move your schedule around, and even during the month. So like we bid right now, we're bidding for December, and I'm trying to go somewhere over Christmas, you know, so it's that. But if I don't get it, then I could possibly switch with someone, or I could bid those days off to pick up something. You can move it around, or like, well, this is kind of sad, but last year my dad had quadruple bypass, and it was very sudden. Like he just found out, and within 2 or 3 days he had to go into surgery. And so you know, they took me off a flight, but then after that I got to be able to drop all my trips to be home with my dad. And to me, that, like, what other job can you do that with? You know, that's really hard, to be able to take off work, to be able to take care of, you know, your family. So to me, and then like also a lot of people are, you know, they have families and they're able to, you know, go on their kids, you know, excursions, or be able to see, you know, their May Day performances. They'd be able to take off. And that's like, to me, that's the beauty of it. And then close second is definitely flying to cool places and eating cool places,
which we're definitely going to get into soon for sure. So how many times a month do you fly out typically on average?
Typically it would be maybe twice a week. And I do 3-day trips, so it would be like, maybe sometimes I work on the weekend, so it would be like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday off, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that's kind of what I do. And how we think of it is hours. So in a month, I try to fly about 90 to 95 hours. And that equates to like about 8 to 9 trips a month, around there.
And when you guys fly out, what is the average stay at a location that you guys are flying to? Like overnight, or?
So most West Coast is overnight. So you basically have 10 hours on the ground. It's just enough to go to sleep. Some trips like Vegas and LA, and I guess some of the Seattle's it's a 3-day trip. So you would have 24 hours on the ground.
Wow.
A lot of the 3-day trips to Japan and Korea are 24, like, you know, 3-day trips, so 24 hours on the ground. And then sometimes there's longer trips, like our Brisbane, our Auckland, some Japan's, the Sapporo, Japan is like 4 or 5 day. And that's because the flights aren't every day. There's only maybe like 3 or 4 flights a week. So the trips are longer for the flight attendants and the pilots.
Oh, I see. And you told me earlier that you don't always fly with the same people, because I think a lot of people think, oh, the life of a flight attendant. Look at Alli. She's going to Disneyland, putting on Mickey Mouse ears, and she's always with her friends. But I mean, you guys don't get to choose typically who you travel with.
Yeah. So once you get to a kind of seniority, you can try to fly with your friends. And for our carrier, LA is kind of a junior flight, so not that many people want to do it. So it's easy for our friends to all get together and go and do that trip. Or some of us do the trip, and some of us, what's called non-revving. We jump on a plane and we can meet them there. But other than that, like, I really, there's people that I fly with that I haven't seen since I started. Then sometimes I'll get in a groove and you'll see the same people, but then you won't see them again for like 3 to 4 years. So it's always changing. There's at my current carrier, there's about 2,200 flight attendants right now.
Really?
So yeah, there's a lot of us.
You know, one thing that, because we talked over the phone before we did the interview, and one thing that surprised me that I think a lot of people don't know about the life of a flight attendant, because I mean, if you just I follow like 3 or 4 flight attendants. I have a few friends that's flying. You think, wow, cool job, and they get to go here and there. But you said something that kind of surprised me. You said it's kind of lonely in a way, sort of.
You know, sometimes it can be, you know, you're in a hotel room by yourself. If you really didn't make friends on the flight, then you're not really going to hang out with them. Or, you know, like, it would be nice to have your family with you.
Of course,
You know, like that would be amazing to experience these places, because you're experiencing these places with people that you've just met a lot of times. And sometimes it gets kind of lonely. Or sometimes people are busy, they're doing their own thing. So you're walking around the city by yourself. And, you know, it's like sometimes you want to experience it with other people, especially your loved ones, you know. And for me, I fly out a lot. So I'm really not home very much. And so that, you know, before I had gained seniority, I was never home on any of the holidays. I was completely gone. Like, I could not come home. Sometimes I couldn't come home until after the holidays were done. So my family got into the groove of celebrating Christmas, celebrating Thanksgiving, whatever it was, months later. You know, so that can be I guess a negative to being a flight attendant, you know, always being away, living out of a suitcase. My suitcase is always packed.
It's like a rock star. Like, you've been to many cities, but, you know, you've most of the time you've only seen the hotel or whatnot, but it's, I can imagine how, that can be tough. So would you say that the personality of a person that's a flight attendant, is it more like single people, or there's some married? I mean, it can't be an easy lifestyle for...
I would say it's kind of half and half. I mean, definitely it is hard holding a relationship as a flight attendant because you're away. So that whole trust issue comes to mind, you know. But again, if you're communicating with your significant other, then it shouldn't be a problem. Like, there are a lot of flight attendants who are happily married with people that are not even in the industry. And then there's also a lot of flight attendants who are married to, like, nurses or pilots or firefighters, because they have kind of the same schedule as us. They kind of mirror our, you know, all weird hours and whatnot. But I mean,
sorry guys, sorry we got all
good.
depressed. Sorry, this became a very depressing interview. I'm sorry, Alli.
No, it's not depressing. I mean, it can be hard, you know, like, but that's any relationship, right? If you don't have good communication, it would be hard. So
on top of flying out and having to miss stuff, right?
Exactly.
Well, I tell you what, okay, we'll get off of the depressing topic and we're gonna go in. Let's go into the juicy stuff. Tell us, what is, like, you have any stories of, like, any unruly passengers or anything that stands out where you're like, you know what, this one time this guy did this? Is there any?
So many.
Give us. Like,
I have so many. Any flight attendant has hundreds of stories.
The great thing about this is you guys can ask questions. You can chime in at any time. If I scroll back, let's look at some comments. Wicked Egyptian Goddess. That would be my husband. She must be talking about Jason Momoa. I don't think she's talking about me. Sorry. She put, that's such crap. They should be paid the second they start working, even if it's greeting people or preparing things. They're working. That's so wrong of the airline. You're right. Yeah. I mean, as long as...
But it's something that's been traditional. It's across the board. It's not just the carrier I'm with. It's every single airline does that.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. I mean, hopefully in the future, you know, even if there's traditions, I mean, things change over time. So hopefully, you know, you guys get paid as soon as you put the flower in your ear, right? Hopefully we can do that. That'd be awesome. I would put a flower in my ear if, for sure.
A bright pink one?
I don't know about bright pink one, but maybe a blue one. So tell us a story. Any story that stands out?
Let's see. Okay, one that stands out was, so at my carrier, we do like a rum punch service. It's a free rum punch before, you know, we land, and we do like a bag of chips and we give them a drink.
Yeah.
So I'm going through the cabin and there's this couple that's very into their movie. And they're watching their movie. I hand them their chips and, you know, I ask them, you know, do you want something to drink? And they're like, they're not even paying attention to me. And I was like, well, short of me unplugging their earphones, I'm not, you know, going to interrupt that. So I just keep going.
Yeah.
When I got to the back of the aircraft, the wife stomps up to me and is like, you didn't give us our drinks. You didn't even ask us for drinks. And I'm like, I'm really sorry about that, but do you remember those chips that you were eating? And she was like, yeah. Yeah, I asked you if you wanted something to drink then. Would you like something to drink now? You know, it's like, was one of my favorite stories because it was like, hello.
She just reacted
Pay
without even thinking. Holy cow!
Yeah.
But you handled it really good because a lot of people would be like, they'll come at you. Right?
Well, that comes. You have to be right. You still have to be professional and
with a smile. Yeah.
with a smile, because and then let's see, I have one super juicy one, but
Whatever, anything goes. I mean, does have to be like, Mile High Club juicy, but I mean, anything that
no
you want to share.
It involves the Oakland Raiders.
Oh no, any Oakland Raiders fans? Oh, too bad. We're gonna tell the story anyway.
So this is my favorite. This is one of my favorite stories. Is that we charter, my carrier charters the Oakland Raiders, and this was maybe when I first started. So 08.
Okay.
I think it was 08 when I had 08 or 09, something like that. And this is when they were really shitty. Like, they were really bad.
Mm-hmm.
They were hardly winning any games. And so I got called. I was on reserve. I got called to do the charter that went to Colorado so that they could play the Denver Broncos. And so, I was excited. Like, oh my gosh, football. I'm good. This is going to be awesome. I flew in the front because when you're on the plane, you fly different positions on the airplane. So I was flying up in first class. So with the coaches and, what was the owner's name that passed away?
Anything with football, I don't even.
I know. I forgot his name.
I've been faking it for years with like ex's dads when they tell me if I watch the game. I don't know nothing about football.
So, okay, well, anyways.
He's an owner. Yeah.
Yeah, he was an owner. He passed away, but he was an owner. It'll come to me after because I can't think of it now. But anyways, so we're in Denver and they beat the Broncos. It was kind of like, what? They beat the Broncos? That's crazy. Because the Broncos were doing really good at that time. And so when we were coming to the aircraft, we hear about this, and then we hear that a Frontier truck hit the positioning light on our wing. So we're going to be delayed because we have to fix that. We can't take off. We can't fly without that positioning light. So we were delayed about 2 or 3 hours. The team comes in and, we're delayed. So they all go to the bar. They're all drinking. They're all happy, right? So they're drinking. We find like 2 or 3 hours later, we're ready to board. We board and, they're happy. They seem fine. So they're all going to the back. And then before the owner comes on, the coaches were on, but before the owner comes on, we get a call from the back saying, "Send security! They're beefing back here! They're beefing! Send security!" Yeah, Al Davis, that's it. Thanks, Katie. They're beefing back here! So the coaches got up and they ran towards the back, and we were all like trying to look, but they're big guys. You can't see anything, right?
Yeah.
So then Al Davis, they go and they seat him. And then the coaches come running back, and they're like, take off! We took off with everybody standing in the back of the plane. Because it's a charter flight, anything goes, so it's not FAA inspected or whatever. We took off with everybody standing. It was crazy. It was nuts. It was like, oh my God. And then when we went back there, it was like, there was like blood, and it was trash.
Wow, that's bad, huh?
What had happened was, I guess not the kicker, the punter was mouthing off to the linemen. So the punter was white and the linemen are black. So the punter was like, "You guys don't respect me, na 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 na." And I guess the lineman was like, "Yeah, all right," boom. And so it was like a huge brawl in the back of the plane. It was crazy.
Oh my God.
That's probably the craziest thing that's happened on a flight for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that is pretty crazy. Yeah. Is there maybe one passenger that stands out? Because, you guys come across senior citizens, you come across children. Is there any one that kind of stands out that kind of caught your heart, or you still remember to this day?
I remember this one single mom with 2 kids. She was so sweet. She was so apologetic. Like, "I'm so sorry, my kids are messy." And she had like a toddler and maybe a 3 or 4-year-old, 5-year-old maybe. And they were the sweetest thing. She made these little I guess, little goodie bags to the people around her, gave them, earplugs and candy saying, I'm really sorry, this is my kid's first time flying and I'm a single mom. I'm going to go, I guess her husband was stationed, so I forget where it was, but they were stationed somewhere else and they were going to go see him.
Yeah.
And so she was very apologetic and whatnot, and she was like the sweetest lady. Like, I wanted to give her everything. Like, do you want more water? Do you want more juice? Anything? Do you need help? Do you want me to carry your kid while you go to the bathroom?
Yeah. And
she was just really nice. And at the end of the flight, bless her heart, she cleaned up all the Cheetos on the ground, or all the mess that her kid made. Like, we were waiting for her because she was trying to clean up, and we're like, no, we have cleaners. Like, it's okay. You don't have to clean up. And it was, to me, it was like, God, there's still people out there that are, respectful and humble and decent. Right. Exactly. It's like, because after a flight, the airplane is trash. And in my head, I'm like, do you live like this at home?
Yeah.
Like, is that okay to just leave your trash everywhere? Like, do you do that at home? Because
what's some of your pet peeves? So what is some of your pet peeves? This is going to be a 2-hour long podcast, but what is some of your pet peeves that people do or leave rubbish? Like, what's some of the things that we can learn so the next time we're on a flight, we don't end up acting like a 3-year-old? What can we do to make your job easier?
There's a bunch, but my number one pet peeve is if you ask me for coffee, please know how you take your coffee. Please. You should know. You should know if you want milk and sugar, if you just want it black or whatnot. I mean, I have 300 people I need to take care of, and I can't just stand there while you. It's not Starbucks. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then, so that's like one of my top. And then the second would be like, you see us coming through. You can see us out of the corner of your eye coming through. Just take out your earplugs. Be respectful. It's common sense to just, if you want to drink, then unplug so that I can ask you what you want to drink. That's one, definitely a big one. And then, please and thank you and eye contact goes a long way.
With everything. Yeah, a lot of people they forget about it these days. Yeah.
Like I'll be at the boarding door saying hello to people, like, hi, welcome, and they'll just be like, they'll look at me and look away, and I'm like, oh, okay. So now for me, whenever I go into like a store and somebody says hello to greet you at the door, I go look for whoever said hello and I go, hi. They're not expecting it, but that's, it's
common courtesy. Yeah. It doesn't take long to say hi. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. And then, let's see. Oh, if I don't have gloves on, please don't give me your dirty tissue. Oh. That's gross.
Oh. You guys
dirty diaper? Come on, guys.
Come on. Yeah, that's gross.
It's kind of gross.
Yeah. Yeah, just use your common sense. I mean, you wouldn't want to grab anyone's dirty diaper, so don't give it to Alli.
No.
Don't give Alli a dirty diaper.
Don't give me a dirty diaper.
Just don't do that. What happens, you guys are flying, and it's not like a car where you can just turn around, but if there's an unruly passenger that's really like vocal and loud and whatever, I mean, how often do you guys have a person with a handheld
air marshal?
Air marshal. How often are air marshals on flights? Is it random or?
It's random, and it depends on your destination. But it's random. Yeah. So how we deal with unruly passengers is definitely try to, talk them down. Listen to what they're trying to say, and try to tell them, hey, you know what, you can't be acting like that. If it escalates, then we have I guess it's paperwork that shows them that if you keep doing this, you're gonna get fined.
Yeah.
And if you keep doing this, we're gonna have authorities meet us when we land, which has happened many of times.
I mean, you guys have
I've had a bunch.
Yeah, you guys have the manpower on board, right, to take care of situations like this, okay? Because you can't just throw them out of the plane.
No, and we're trained.
Easier.
Yeah, we're trained to diffuse situations. Also, if it gets really bad, we as a team, we have like the flex cuffs, and we can tie them to the chair and be like, hey, buddy, now you've done it. Like not only is authorities meeting us.
Too
But
bad.
you're gonna be sitting here like a fugitive. You know, you need to calm down, and that has happened. We've had that happen a bunch of times. You know, I've never had to. It's never
Use the
escalated
flex
to that
stuff.
for me. But I've definitely told, or I've had people, you know, hey, when we land,
Yeah.
you know, the airport police is coming on board, LAPD is coming on board, and they're gonna take you off.
Because you
They
can't, and that's the hard thing. Something crazy happens. You can't just turn around, and sometimes like it takes hours before you land. So it's like that's a lot of things going on, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you have to
yeah.
diffuse the situation, and you guys got to deal with it. There's no way out of it, you know?
Yeah, there's no out of it. And a lot of times there's passengers that'll help us too. You know, like a lot of times passengers will be like, hey, you know, buddy, calm down. You need to
Yeah, yeah.
relax.
There's always
So
one big
that's
Samoan
good
guy on the
too.
plane, right? That can take care of it. There's always usually one Hawaiian guy or
Not on the
something.
Japan flights.
Yeah. Oh, that's true, right? You're like this
No,
one. Yeah,
not many.
yeah. Well, we're gonna wind down a little bit, but let's get to the part that I think a lot of people wonder most about your job is what are some, if you could name like maybe 2 or 3 places, your favorite places to visit, and what you love about that city or that state the most. What would you say?
Okay. My favorite international city to go to is Sapporo in
Okay.
Japan. It's on the island of Hokkaido. And a lot of flight attendants are food driven.
Foodies? Yeah.
Foodies, big time. I mean, it's so bad that I can't have ramen in Hawaii. It's
Mm. Yeah.
But Japan, like Sapporo, Hokkaido itself, has amazing food. The seafood is so good because it's like the northern part of Japan, so all the seafood is very fatty.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know what's in their soil, but their potatoes are
Yeah.
really good, and
Uh,
their milk products are amazing. So that's my favorite city for the food, and then also because there's snowboarding. There's really good snowboarding
Yeah.
on that island.
oh, cool.
So that would be mine.
Yeah.
And then U.S. city will always be LA. 'Cause
Okay.
I used to live there, and I have a lot of friends there and a lot of places I like to visit. And yeah, I liked LA. I lived in Long Beach, but you know, LA itself. So
How many
that would be
typically how many states do you think you fly to a year? Different states, or is it just kind of the same places?
mostly. So we go to I do JFK, so that's in New York, Boston, Massachusetts. I do a lot of California.
Mhm.
I don't really do Seattle. I guess Vegas, so Nevada, Oregon, Phoenix. 7 states, I think, we go to.
So if you could like just roughly, how many of the states have you visited in your whole career?
Well, definitely the ones that we fly to, but other than that, not very many. Really, that's kind of sad. I wish I could go to every single state.
Yeah, yeah. Because you would think, I mean,
But-
you've been in the game for like what, 14 years now? Maybe going on
Yeah.
15 years. I mean,
Yeah.
you must have seen a lot of things. Is there anything that stands out that was just like breathtaking? Any view, any monuments or scenery or places that stands out in your head?
Yeah, so we used to do a 3-day Vegas, and we drove to Zion National Park,
Mm-hmm.
which is, I guess, in Utah, and we did the Angels Landing hike. That
Angels.
was gorgeous. It was scary as hell, but it was
Yeah.
beautiful. I did it twice, and the views from on top are just breathtaking. You really see the beauty of, you know, America. Like when I moved to LA, I was like, ugh, this place is ugly. It wasn't until I got out of the city and got into the mountains that I thought, wow, you know, America is beautiful. The United States is a gorgeous country, but you
Yeah.
just have to get out there. You got to get out of the cities in order to see that beauty. So that was probably one of the most breathtaking things I've seen being a flight attendant.
So cool. For anyone that's wanting to become because I know so many people, I swear, I've trained so many people that either wants to be one or they're in their second time trying to be a flight attendant. Any advice
Keep
for new flight
trying.
attendants?
Keep trying. Don't be discouraged. You know, be genuine. Be yourself when you go through the interview process. Definitely people that are hard workers, please apply. If you're not a hard worker, please don't.
Yeah, because you got to work with them and you got to travel.
Because I
with
gotta
them.
work with you.
Yeah, exactly.
But Yeah, no, just have good work ethic and just keep trying. There are people on the line that have tried, like they got it on their 8th or 9th try. So they wanted it and they went after it. And that's kind of anything in life, you know? If you want something that badly, you keep trying for it.
Yeah.
And it's a good job. It really is. I mean, right now with a career I'm at, we're kind of in a contract issue where it's been a while. But even with that said, I would still be a flight attendant. Definitely. I really enjoy my career.
So cool. Before we go, is there any projects that you're working on or anything that you want to plug or you want us to know about?
I still do jewelry on the side, and then I'm also doing a lot of graphic arts now. So I've been trying to combine like the 2 careers I've been with, and
yeah, I see your hats, huh? You got like the trucker hats. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been kind of doing that, and then that's pretty much it. Yeah, holidays are coming up, so I've been kind of focusing on that.
And guys, I want to thank you again for joining us. Again, this is something new, and I think it went well. I mean,
I think it went well too.
Yeah, you did really good. So we're gonna give you a clap. You guys can give her a clap,
thank you.
but I can't do it. But yeah, we're gonna do more of these, and just follow us on the show podcast if you haven't. If you're not following us already, this is our way of bringing more guests and more interviews and more interesting stuff. I mean, today we learned like some of the behind the scenes of what goes on and what flight attendants are really thinking. Because I'm sure you guys wondered, like, what do they really get irritated about? I always wondered that. And now we know, pick up your trash, don't give a dirty diaper to a flight attendant without gloves on, right? Little stuff like that. So make sure you guys do that, or she's going to put something in your water next time.
I would never
you drink.
do that. No, I just might skip you. That's all.
She just might skip you, yeah. But Alli, thank you so much for being on the show podcast, our first ever live, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yes, we will. All right. Have a good night.
You
Bye.
too. Take care. Bye, guys.
Bye.